On a small bare island, in a simple old shack, lived an old fisherman, his wife, and their cat. Every day the fisherman went down to the sea, where he hoped to catch enough food for all three. One day, as the fisherman sat deep in thought, a tug on the line meant that something was caught. On the end of his hook was a wondrous sight, a golden fish gleaming in the sunlight. The old man couldn't believe his eyes. Then the fish spoke, to his further surprise. "Good fisherman, please release me back to the sea, and I'll grant any wish you desire magically." The fisherman was so astonished he had nothing to say. So he set the fish free, and it swam away. That night he returned with nothing to give, but his incredible story of the fish he let live. When his tale of the golden fish was through, the fisherman's wife scolded, "I don't believe you. We're living here in a run-down shack. You must ask for a new home when you go back." The next day the fisherman found the magical fish and told him all about his wife.
"Where is the shell? Where is the shell?" "Nicely done. Let's find the crab. Spot the right ship. Good job. Cool."
When he returned home, the fisherman saw an amazing sight that filled him with awe. Where once was his shack, all bare and worn, there now stood a palace with a beautiful lawn. The fisherman's wife urged, "Return to your fish. You must insist that he grant us one more tiny wish. A palace like this demands only the best. We need servants to meet our every request." Next day the fisherman called to the fish, "As I saved your life, use your magic to send servants for me and my wife." The fish replied, "Go home, and you will behold a group of servants will do whatever they're told." So the old couple lived like royalty indeed. Their servants saw to their every need. Fine clothes to wear and jewels galore, as much food as they could eat and more. Even with such luxuries and wearing a crown, the fisherman's wife still had a frown. "Bring that fish with his magic here to stay. I want its powers at our service night and day." The fisherman strode to the beach the next day. "Golden fish," he called, "you must come right away. You must serve us in our palace, grant any wish we ask." But the fish swam away, and he never came back. The fisherman returned home, where once he had reigned, only to discover they'd lost all they had gained. No palace, no flowers, no fine clothes and fair, just their old wooden cabin, simple and bare. The fisherman and his wife realized their mistake. They asked for too much, all they did was take. Now they live very simply, content with their lot, and learned to be thankful for what they've already got.
The end. See the well? Excellent! Can you spot the hat on the fence? Nicely done! Find the highest fish. Great going! Nicely done! Something is missing. Move the missing pieces to their place and help complete the picture. You got it! Great going! You got it! Amazing! Something is missing. Move the missing pieces to their place and help complete the picture. Great going! Great job! Excellent! Where is the shell? Good job! Let's find the crab. Great job! Spot the right ship. Great going! Excellent! Something is missing. Move the missing pieces to their place and help complete the picture. Great job! Great going! Amazing! Can you spot the fruit? Great! Where is the yellow ball? Nice going! Spot the candle on the right. Great job! Excellent! Something is missing. Move the missing pieces to their place Nicely
and
done.
help complete the picture.
Correct! Excellent!
Oh, wow.
Huh?
Something is missing. Move the missing pieces to their place and help complete the picture. Great job! Great job! Excellent! Something is missing. Nicely done. Move the missing pieces to their place. Great job. Extraordinary.
The end.
Long ago, in a faraway land, next to a magical wood, there was a girl named Cinderella who was pretty and good. She lived with her two stepsisters and her cruel stepmother. They made her cook and clean all day, one task after the other. At night, they let her sleep among the cinders by the flame. And that is how our lovely Cinderella got her name. Something is missing. Move the missing pieces to their place and help complete the picture. Excellent! 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 Long ago, in a faraway land, next to a magical wood, there was a girl named Cinderella who was pretty and good. She lived with her. One morning, the prince came by with invitations for them all. Next week at the palace, there would be a fancy ball. What should we wear? The sisters cried. A ball! What a delight! Can you help them pick dresses for the special night? How many drums do you see?
1,
Nice going! How many dogs do you see?
1, 2,
Great job! Count the clarinets.
1, 2, 3,
Right. Count the violins.
1, 2, 3, 4,
Great! Count the buckets.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Right. How many mirrors do you see?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Nicely done. Count the flowers.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
Awesome! How many harps do you see?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
Awesome! How many knives do you see?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
Nicely done. Count the pumpkins.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Great job! One morning, the prince came by. Cinderella was excited too. She'd never danced before. But her stepmother said, "You stay at home and wash the floor." She went outside, sat down and cried, for it just wasn't fair. When suddenly her fairy godmother was standing there. "Child, don't you cry," the fairy said, "for you'll be dancing too. Now dry your tears and wash your face. We have some work to do." Cinderella was excited too. "I can't go to the ball," she cried. "I have but rags to wear." The fairy said some magic words and waved her wand in the air. Then several pretty gowns appeared, along with many shoes. Which one should she wear to the ball? Help Cinderella choose. "A real princess does not walk to a ball," the fairy said, and turned a pumpkin into a coach, 4 horses at its head. The fairy said, "The spell will break at 12 o'clock, my dear. Be home by then, before your clothes and coach all disappear." A real princess does not walk. A real princess. At the palace, the royal ball was soon to start. The prince hoped that tonight he'd meet a girl who'd win his heart. He tried on coats and pants. He pinned some badges on his chest. Can you help him find his princess? Can you help him look his best? The prince saw pretty Cinderella standing in the crowd. His heart beat fast. "I am in love," he almost said out loud. He asked her, "Will you dance with me? You are a lovely sight." "Of course," she said, and took his hand. "I'll dance with you all night." The prince saw. As they danced, they fell in love, and time went by so fast. When the clock struck 12, Cinderella remembered the spell the fairy had cast. "I must go home right now," she thought, "before I break the spell." As Cinderella rushed off down the stairs, one slipper fell. "I must go."
Wait!
The next day, servants from the palace searched the kingdom through to find the girl who'd won the prince, whose foot would match the shoe. When Cinderella tried it on, it fit her like a glove. That's how the prince knew Cinderella was his lady love. He took her to the palace, and they married right away. And there they live in joyful bliss until this very day.
Tap the recording button beside me to record my voice. Tap the recording button beside me to record my voice.
Tap the record button beside me to record my voice.
The end. Alice in Wonderland. A pretty girl named Alice sat by the stream one day. She was clever and nice, but had no friend with whom to play. As she sat there bored, daydreaming in her head, a white rabbit appeared, and here's what he said. "I must be running off. I'm so very late. I must meet the Queen. I cannot let her wait. The rabbit ran off, and Alice ran too. She was curious and had nothing better to do. What a strange little bunny, she thought as she ran. He talks and has a watch and is dressed like a man. She followed him through the woods, left and right, round and round. Before she knew it, she fell through a hole in the ground. The hole was huge, deep as the deepest well, and for a very long time, Alice fell and fell. She finally landed safely on the floor of a room unlike any room she'd ever seen before. There was a table with a bottle whose label read, "Drink." She took a little sip and right away began to shrink. She was as tiny as a mouse with little hands and tiny feet. And on the floor she found a biscuit and its label read, "Eat." She took a little bite, and to her great surprise, she started growing and growing to a very big size. Once again she drank, and again she was small. Then she carefully went through a hole in the wall. She walked and walked and reached a cave full of birds. There was a duck and a parrot and one too odd for words. The odd one was a dodo, and it opened its beak and said, "Come on, it's a race! We've been waiting all week!" The birds all ran off in every which way. The dodo cried, "You've all won! We're all winners today!" Alice thought, "This is so odd. It just cannot be." She walked out of the cave, and what did she see? A colorful caterpillar, looking a bit cross and fat, who was blowing rings of smoke as on a mushroom he sat. Alice was polite and said, "Well, hello." But he wasn't very nice, so she decided to go. She was still very curious after everything she'd seen, so she walked on and reached the castle of the Queen. The Queen was busy and didn't even speak, but she saw a cat with a huge grin spread from cheek to cheek. The cat smiled and asked, "Alice, what's the matter? If you think I'm strange, you should meet the Mad Hatter." And as he said this, he disappeared from there, leaving only his smile floating gently in the air. Alice was getting tired and wanted to go home, but she was also very curious, so she continued to roam. So she walked on and found a table behind a tree, where the Mad Hatter, a squirrel, and a hare were having tea. She hadn't been invited, but they didn't seem to care. So she sat and had some tea with the squirrel and the hare. The angry Queen came by and said, "Girl, why are you here?" She waved her scepter angrily.
Hey, you!
But Alice said with no fear, "Why, you are nothing but a playing card. You're not a real queen. There's no need to be so cross and so mean." And as she said these words, to her great surprise, a whole pack of cards flew before her eyes. Alice opened her eyes and found herself by the stream. She suddenly realized it was nothing but a dream. And as she sat there thinking of all that she had seen, she heard the rabbit cry out, "I'm late for the Queen!" The end. Wonderland. Alice in Wonderland. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Once upon a time, in a land rich and blessed, there lived a kind king and a beautiful princess. She was called Snow White, for her skin was fair. She had cherry red lips and raven black hair. The king felt one thing was missing from their life. Snow White needed a mother, so he found a new wife. The queen arrived with her luggage one day. They welcomed her warmly to come and stay. But the queen thought only of her beauty and youth. She owned a magic mirror that always told the truth. Each day to her mirror she would demand, "Who is the fairest lady in this land?" The mirror delivered an unwelcome surprise. "O Queen, you know I can tell you no lies. There is no doubt you are fair of face, but Snow White's beauty has taken your place." The queen's beauty had always outshone the rest. She did not like to be judged second best. She thought of ideas as she paced the floor, of how to make herself fairest once more. The queen had the huntsman summoned to her. "Take Snow White to the forest and make sure she stays there. With Snow White's charms hidden by trees, my beauty will be all that the mirror sees." The huntsman, obeying the queen's request, invited Snow White for a stroll in the forest. What a lovely idea, Snow White agreed, and they set off together at a leisurely speed. Snow White was enchanted by pretty forest flowers. The woodland animals entertained her for hours. Snow White smiled and breathed in the sweet forest air. When she next looked around, the huntsman wasn't there. As Snow White explored a little more, she soon came across a little round door. Inside was furniture as small as can be, the cutest little house you ever did see. Snow White thought if she tidied things away, the owners might be grateful and ask her to stay. Her animal friends helped her dust and sweep. When they finally finished, she needed a sleep. Seven fine dwarfs returned home from work that night to find Snow White asleep and their house clean and bright. What a wonderful surprise after a long, hard day. When this lovely girl awakes, we must invite her to stay. When Snow White awoke, she was amazed to see 7 funny little men, their faces full of glee. "Sweet girl, you have filled our home with good cheer. You're more than welcome to live with us here." Back in the palace, the queen asked who was most fair, and still Snow White appeared in the mirror before her. "I cannot allow this image to stay. I must find Snow White myself and fix this today."
The queen dressed as an old woman with apples to sell, the most delicious-looking one, containing a spell. She set off through the forest to find Snow White, and soon had the dwarf's little home in sight. When the queen knocked, the door opened wide to reveal Snow White alone inside. Pretty girl, won't you buy an apple from me? They're delicious and juicy. Try one and see. The apples were truly a tempting sight, so Snow White said thank you and took a big bite. Snow White fell into a magical sleep. The dwarfs couldn't wake her. The spell was too deep. One fine day a prince who was handsome and good was going for a ride on his horse through the wood. Through a window he saw the sleeping Snow White. The kind-hearted prince fell in love at first sight. As the prince gently kissed her, Snow White was woken. Because of true love's kiss, the spell was broken. Snow White and her handsome prince ruled hand in hand, spreading peace and goodness throughout the land. The palace was filled with love and laughter, and they all lived happily ever after. The end.